And this brings up some things that people are going through right now. June 30th, tomorrow is the first that marks the second half of the year. And so some of the things that people are going through mentally that I notice, and because I notice the times when I feel like doubling down in the business is naturally where I feel other people are starting to drift a little bit. You feel a little bit of a drift. So I'm going to go through a couple of points here on it's going to be 12 weeks of discipline. So all these cycles that we look at are 90 days of taking back your power and creating the business and the life that you want. And so I want to talk about the next 12 weeks. So the first point that I'm going to give to you guys is the summer slump is a lie. Summer slump is a lie. Most agents will check out. I'm not really sure why that is, because they also check out in August when kids go back to school, and December because it's cold, and January because nobody's doing anything yet. And the wildest thing is June 30th, there's people that are thinking, oh, I've got stuff going on besides building the business. Makes no sense to me. So when other agents check out, that is your opening. That's the way it needs to be treated. So take their listings and take their market share. The other piece, this is something that I've been working on. I've been noticing this in people's language. And I noticed it's something that I had to specifically work on probably 10 years ago. Number two is stop apologizing and start owning. So sorry I'm late, or I'm sorry some people just say I'm sorry all the time because they think that that's a way to bring people closer, I suppose. Notice how often you're saying I'm sorry and replace it with thank you. So sorry I'm late needs to be replaced with thank you for waiting. Well, now, why is that important? What if I really am? This is a question I get. What if I really am sorry? Well, what you're going to start to recognize is you're not actually sorry as often as you think you are. And in reality, all you're doing is giving away all your power by apologizing all the time. Language either gives us power or takes it. So this shows up in objection handling as well, or setting appointments. I was calling leads yesterday for about 90 minutes, and I set 2 appointments on a Sunday. Believe that or not, that people answer their phone on Sunday. Did you know that? And salespeople forget that also. I was calling, I talked to a guy, and he said, yeah, we're interviewing agents. I'll send you a questionnaire that my wife is sending out, and you can answer it and get back. Now, I know personally that I don't do homework, and I'm only willing to set an appointment with someone based on the questions that I'm going to ask. So I already know right there I'm not willing to fill out a questionnaire. That's not what I'm willing to do. So what I told him was, based on what you've said, it does make sense for us to set this appointment. Let's go ahead and set a time. Well, I'm not even in town. Not a problem. We'll do it virtually. So I set him for a virtual appointment later this week. Now, he may have a process of controlling the narrative and controlling the agents and making agents compete for his business, but I will not participate in that. So I set him for an appointment. So the question you should ask yourself is, how often are people dictating the process because you're unclear on yours? That was a point inside of a point. Point 3 is 12 weeks is a war campaign. July through September is one battlefield only. You don't need 12 months to win. You need 12 weeks of focus to determine the business that you have, the body that you have, the life that you want at any moment. And it's perfect where this call lies, because you have today to determine exactly what you want to do. What I did is I went through and I took a screenshot of my calendar. I added it to ChatGPT. I also added my business plan, and I said, do these things match up? And where do I need to look at efficiency, and where should I add more time? And it said, based on your goals, you need to make adjustments here. But even if you just looked at it and said, okay, that's my calendar for the week, Does this match up with the goals that I've set? And typically it doesn't. We go through the week and people dictate your week, and you have these goals, but you're never really actually working on the goals. So if I want to improve conversion, if I want to improve recruiting, if I want to improve listings taken, look at the calendar to determine how much time am I actually giving to those things. You can dictate what is important to you based on what's on your calendar and what's on your expense record for the business. Where am I spending my money? Where am I spending my time? Point number 4, this thing drives me crazy about people, because I don't think people are very aware of how much power they give away all the time. It's going to be an interesting point. I don't know if anybody's ever heard this one. Number 4 is quit narrating the weather. Everywhere I go, it's hot. Oh, it's hot today, isn't it? Oh, it's cold. Oh, it's so cold. It's windy. It's windy today. Oh, it's windy. That's interesting. That's a new one. Aren't you inside? We have so much. I don't need. I just want to add, it's hot, it's windy, it's wasted energy. Accept it and keep moving. Stop whining about things that just are, that you have no control over. If you wake up in the daytime and look at the weather to try to determine anything, I'm standing at a baseball game in the pouring rain watching the game, and people are like, "Didn't you think to bring this or no?" I don't need to bring anything. Whatever it is, I'm just going to stand there and watch the game. Oh, it's really hot. Oh, since the sun came out, now we're really starting to cook, are we? Your body's built to deal with all the temperatures that are available. It's not going to kill you. Why is that part of it? It's just not part of it. So, but take that point and look at the other parts of your life that you're just distracted by all the, and you know, these people, they come in and go, oh boy, man, really coming down out there today. Yeah, I guess so. That's why I'm inside. Look at where you're giving your power. Point number 5. Work ethic is built in the boring. Far too frequently, we're looking at work ethic based on recognition or what other people see. All of that is built in the boring where nobody sees it. That's where, when you're alone with yourself doing something that's difficult, you should be saying, this is where it's built, right here. Showing up every day, not when it feels good, that's the edge. That's the separator. So this opportunity that we have to talk about these points and get all jazzed up and get excited about it and get recognition, all of that is not where the work ethic is built. You don't get it by proxy. You don't get it by being around people that are doing hard things. You should actually think about doing hard things yourself. I hear clutter. Is somebody coming in on that? Yeah.
DVN, what something that I personally went through after doing my triathlon a few weeks ago was I felt like I just wanted to continue that trajectory of just work ethic and everything. And I guess the question, or at least the comment here, I want to hear your thoughts on this, is like, I realized like what kept popping in my head as I kept pumping the iron, doing more cardio after that race to keep that flow going. In my head, I had this little voice that kept saying, hey, yo, take a break, bro. Like, you just did a race. You're good. You're good. You're good. What would you suggest in that moment? What is that telling you by me telling you that story?
I had to take 4 cold plunges yesterday to deal with fatigue. And here's what I recognize. I also ran into somebody that I hadn't seen for a while, and they said, man, you need to eat a piece of pizza. Eat 2 pieces. Here's what you're recognizing. The entire world around you is encouraging you to go back to normal and be mediocre all the time. And all they're doing is projecting their own inadequacies onto you. And when they do that, You accept it. What I hear from every single person in the universe is, what? You need a break. You need to slow down. But here's what's truly available, Dean. This is your real question. The idea is you don't need one. There is another level above that. Every time I look at my week and it gets more full, and every time I look at the exercise and there's more of it, here's what I realize. There is no end. And that's the most beautiful thing about it. There is always more. And when you find the joy and the peace and the excitement based on the idea of there's another level past this, then that's when you know that you're on the right track. Everybody else is designed to hold you down. And it's not because they're bad. We've talked about this, Dean. People around you, they're not bad people. They want, their heart is in the right place. But in reality, their heart being in the right place should not be a substitute for your purpose. So I don't expect people around me to understand that I'm not satisfied. I don't expect them to believe that never having a break is what I truly want. I don't expect them to understand that.
Cool.
This is what I want. Next point, and this is in line with all of this, drop the soft language immediately. Drop soft language. It should be very apparent here. Language is, if I was saying, I'm going to try this, hopefully this will happen. You need to speak with absolutes and say what you will do. And here's where this lines up for you. You're telling people things with no intention of actually doing it. You're saying things like, hopefully that's going to pan out. Hopefully I'll be able to make it. Hopefully, maybe I'm going to be there on Saturday. Maybe we'll see how it works out. I have no intentions of doing that. I think I shared it on this call last week where somebody said, hey, are you going to be at that? And I said, no, I'm not going to be at that. And they looked at me like, how could you just say no? Like, aren't you at least going to say, maybe I'll try to appease me? No. And so add this to the other pieces of your life where you're telling people things in a sales environment, especially. I had a guy on Saturday that I interviewed with, and he said, will you be the one holding the open house? No. Now I know that all he wants me to say is yes. And I said, but let me tell you why the answer is no. The answer is no, because you are looking to hire a salesperson that does the right things Monday through Saturday. The last agent you had did an open house because nothing else that they were doing was working, and you forced them to hold an open house because you thought it was at least an opportunity to see them doing something, right? He said, yes. I said, exactly. So when you hire me, you won't have to ask or force me to do anything because what I'm going to do is going to work. Everything, and all I had to do was say, yes, I'll hold the open house and the listing's mine. I took the listing anyways, by the way, but I didn't have to compromise and say, oh, maybe if nobody else is available, I'll do that. Drop the soft language. Point 7. And I learned this again for myself yesterday because I am not above doing anything that the company needs. And I thought, let me get 90 minutes worth of prospecting here, even though I have 1,000 other things that I probably should be doing and could be doing. Let me make 90 minutes worth of contacts and see what's out there. And here's what I realize. There's plenty of people with motivation looking to do something on a timeline that will pay us all a commission. That's what's ridiculous about it. And when we get really clear on the fact that they're out there, they're just one conversation away, everything looks like a deal. I promise you. Everything looks like a deal. Point 7 is contacts equals control. Every conversation is a seed and no one ever regrets making more calls. Either you control the day or it controls you. Here's what I recognize. When I have a conversation with someone, and I maybe even someone else has had a conversation with them, are you prospecting, canvassing over the top of a bunch of people, hoping that someone latches onto you? Or the higher and better opportunity is, am I identifying the people with motivation? Am I latching on and going deeper with them? What I recognize is every conversation, I can go further in the questions, set them up in our systems, stage them properly, add the right notes. We all have these systems. And now I treat them like they're one of the people that is going to work with me, and they feel it. Making those contacts is the control. There's no question in my mind that I could leave my position, go to any company that anyone is at right now, focus 100% of my time on talking to the leads that are available there, and reach my goals. That's not me being better. That's me telling you that the opportunity exists. So stop telling yourself that it doesn't. Next point is detach from the outcomes and attach to the standards. Don't ride on the emotional roller coaster of results. The results come. Ride the structure of 25 to 35 contacts a day, period. Ride the consistency of that. Until you do that, you really have no basis to come back and question any parts of the process.
DVN, it just sounds too easy. I feel like what you're proposing, it's almost as if like, like how do you, what would you suggest for people on this call to get from that point, or just all these points? It's just like, look, here's what it is, attach to the standards, and just don't deviate. But why do we make it so much more complicated?
Well, we overcomplicate everything. That's what we do. Losing weight is very simple. It's just not easy. And it should be the best example for anybody that's ever tried to lose weight. And we all, at this age of everybody on the call, it's something we have to think about. It is easy, but it's simple, but it's not easy. That's why when we have this call, and it's like, we already had this point every single week. This point's like, we've said this in 10 different ways. It hits differently when you're available to hear it. But the answer is there is no other way. Once we start accepting the fact that there is nothing else available, that this is the only way, then you can actually start to achieve progress. The longer and longer that I observe this process, what I realize, Dean, is that we benefit from the idea that it's complicated. Everything in my life is complicated. My schedule is complicated. My life is complicated. The business is complicated. All the parts of the business coming together are complicated. But what we all need to do individually to achieve success is not complicated. It's very simple. And what I recognized, I talked to Stephanie this morning just about the team and the direction of the team. The message, the consistency of the message is not, I said, Stephanie, this morning, I said, what the team needs from me is just a more consistent message that this is what works. And Stephanie was surprised by that. She's like, how is that possible? That all we're missing is the consistent message. How don't we show up and say the same things every day? We underestimate how frequently we need to be reminded of how simple it is, because all we do is overcomplicate. You know how many people I see, they're like, oh yeah, I tried that. Oh yeah. Oh, that seems to be working really well for you. See, what I'm doing is I like to do intermittent fasting 3 days. And then on 3 days, I like to do this. And when I do my workouts, what I do is I tie straps. I see these people at gym tying straps around their arms and doing stuff like that. Where in the hell did you come up with this? We're all looking for a shortcut. We're overcomplicating everything.
Hilarious and true.
Well, if
You
you
see those?
take the oregano oil and you put it with the other oil,
Yeah,
those oils do some things.
that's true. Always. Yeah, there's a short
and then you don't have to work out.
GLP-1s. Everybody's on Wegovy, and they're, everybody thinks, well, all I'm trying to do is look. Yeah, I said that in one of my masterminds. I think we were talking about trying to build consistency with agents, build mental toughness. And I said, you're talking to a group of people that will take Wegovy and try to cut the corner on everything. And you're trying to recruit people with a mindset of doing difficult things. And the group of people are not trying to do difficult things. They're looking for a shortcut. So how often are you looking for the shortcut instead of just today, June 30th, setting the plan of consistency over the next 90 days that will give you the result? It's that simple. I wish I had a corner to cut for you, but this is the thought that I offer that people push back on the most. You do not want this to be easy. I have an individual client that is not on this call right now, and she's doing something crazy with her diet. And I said, you're missing the point. You don't want it to be easy. You don't want it to be fast. Anything that comes to you fast, you will lose fast. The results get lost fast. Look at somebody that inherits a bunch of money. They always find a way to give it away, because anything that's given to you without difficulty, you cannot keep it. That's why people that win the lottery go broke. You don't want it to come fast. Point number 9, own your frame. Stop explaining. Stop apologizing. Stop nervously laughing. If you don't think it's funny, don't laugh.
That's funny.
Right? See, genuine humor. It's the only thing that's available. Say it directly. Power isn't loud, it's solid. You know, when you're around these people, by the way, and you're trying to get them to nervously laugh and they won't, and you recognize, I got to raise the bar here. I'm actually going to have to say something interesting. I'm actually going to have to say something funny. People should feel that. You should feel that when you're having conversation, especially when it's chitty chat or small talk, which I don't even understand. I don't understand small talk. I'm too busy for that. I don't have time for that. And then, of course, you get people that feel like you're obliged to give small talk. And that's when you recognize the other point that comes up frequently is the idea that it's a lonely place. It's a lonely place when you're focused on your purpose. It's a very lonely place, because what's available out there is a bunch of conversation that goes nowhere. And I recognize that when I gave up happy hour 8 years ago. You can't be at happy hour if you're not coming up with some bullshit to chew on. There's nothing to do there. So it's not even that I'm not drunk. I mean, I could see some value in having some conversation. There's nothing there. Nobody's talking about anything interesting. Everybody wants to bring all their bullshit there and dump it on me. I don't have time. And you realize I have to be drunk to listen to this. That's why 11:30 at night, I can't talk to people. They're just going through all the bullshit that they brought up their entire day. And I can't tell you the peace that it will give you once you stop taking on all that energy. This presentation's all over the place. Point 10, to round it out here, is your Q4 paycheck is earned right now. It feels like a real cathartic opportunity right now, June 30th. Fresh. I love a fresh start. And I love a fresh start with a little bit of wind in your sails, meaning that you've been doing some of the right things and maybe not all of them up until now. And if you look at that schedule and you go, oh, yeah, but I got this trip coming up, I've got this or that, nothing should be in the way of that. And I promise you, I know personally that nothing has to be in the way of that. Do people try to pull me off that all the time? Every single day. Every single day I receive shame. And the shame is, but I want to do this. But you said that we were going to do this. Can't you just wait? My wife yesterday said, shouldn't the stuff that we were doing today, shouldn't that count for your workout? I said, nice try. Nice try. Now, that thought is always available. I'm already thinking it. That, we were out and about, we were busy, we were walking around. That should count for a workout. That's all I'm going to do is walk with a rucksack. Like I was walking, I could count it. And everybody, even the best intentioned people, my wife has the best intentions for me. Shouldn't that count for your workout? It doesn't today. And yesterday on Sunday was so hectic, I had to walk with the rucksack at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm telling you, that's where the most and guess what? My body is pushing back really hard and saying, we do not like this. We do not like it. Please slow down. So what you do today, not next week, determines whether you thrive or coast in the fall. So we'll be on this call in the fall, and you may be asking yourself, gosh, is now the time that I should start? I'm behind. I should have done it when he said it June 3rd. I knew there was something that he was saying that I was going to latch onto, and I should have started it then. And now it's kind of late. Now it's the fall. Should I wait till January? Your whole life stays on that cycle. And guess what? Here's what I also know. 10 years goes by like that. And it's all based on those little individual decisions.
DVN, one last question I have on my end is does balance exist in the way you think about things in life now? And if it
Yes.
does, what do you like when you go through that and you're going out on 10 o'clock at night for your walks with a rucksack? Like to hear people hearing that, it sounds like that's not a lot of balance right there, especially telling your wife, hey, listen, like good try. Like I'm not gonna get off of this. What is that balance for you if it does exist?
The balance is once a week when I balance my checkbook. There is no balance. Balance is a myth. Balance is the idea that for every hour that I spend building myself up, that I need to spend an hour breaking myself down. This is the Orange Theory method. Orange Theory is like, I'm going to run really fast and tear down all my muscle and then spend 24 hours trying to build that muscle back. It doesn't exist. No one on this call, including me, is at a level where they're not sleeping, they're not relaxing. By the way, the balance exists by getting rid of all of the time that you think that you're recharging your brain by watching TikTok. I slept 7.5 hours last night. I slept from 11 to 6:30. That's a lot of sleep. That felt great. I woke up and took a shower and came straight to work. Now, most people think, well, I've been going really hard. I don't have any meetings set until this time. I should probably hang out and do nothing for a while. It's not making you better. It's not making you more relaxed. It's not making you more clear. It's not a break. So I'm not suggesting that people don't need a break. I know people are really attached to this idea, Dean, that they need to be away from it as close to. I don't find peace from that. If I get to be here going through all the stuff that I'm challenged with, and I can get more clear on this call and the day becomes more effective, that's peace.
Why does it look so much more? And now I'm going on a riff here. So if anyone else wants to chime in, be my guest. But I feel like it looks like on the surface, whether it be social media, other people's success and everything else, even though we're not trying to compare ourselves, it also looks like it's just it's easier lifestyle. What you're suggesting, I think, to a lot of people is like, this is so rigid discipline and it's all this stuff. And like, what would you really say to people that are thinking in that way, that they're looking at, like, there's got to be an easier way? I know people do more marketing, they do more of this, they do more of everything else to find these leads and to find opportunities. Why does it have to be so rigid, and why does that work for you?
Well, let me drill down on what I think is the piece that everybody can probably use there. What I think I've figured out at this moment in my life. You're not trading relaxation or peace for production. The people that are avoiding going to the gym 5 days a week right now will spend that time in the hospital later. So the people that claim that I'm spending a lot of time and energy keeping track of my diet, my health, and my business will either be greeting at Walmart at 75 when they should be retired, or they will be in the hospital getting blood work strapped up to a machine, and I won't. So I don't think that they're better off. I don't think that they have more time. I don't think they have more. They're not thinking on proper timelines. They're trading today's peace and relaxation for next year's or 10 years from now worry. So you choose your stress in life. I choose to accept all the stress up front because it makes everything else easy. You either have the stress of dealing with a big business and a lot of money and a lot of people that are looking to you for guidance, or you're dealing with the stress of having nobody care what you're doing or look for you ever. It's the same stress. The people that I see that are stressed and anxious are only anxious about all the things they didn't do. I never find people that are really working at a super high level thinking, I should have done less. That's not it.
Yeah, the decisions we make that we even, like those, we never have regret about the decisions we made, only about the ones we didn't make. That's what I found to be.
Right, Dante. All right, Dean, should we give a proper send-off? Have a good Monday.
Let's go. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Appreciate
See
it.
you guys.